Web3 represents a new phase for the internet, one that is powered by blockchain technology, which enables decentralization and token-based economies. I'm Victor Muñoz, developer advocate at Metis, and what I have learned will make you wonder about our future. I'm excited to introduce the Web3 Devs Podcast. Okay, welcome everyone. Today we have a very special episode. I have the privilege of having this conversation with Jose, uh, and he has a ton of experience in multiple areas, not only from crypto but also like DeFi. Also, I know that he has been learning a little bit of Solidity, and he also does a lot of writing and marketing as well, and a little bit of BD, I would say. So my first question for you, Jose, welcome to this episode of the Web3 Dev Podcast. Is how do you merge all of these kind of things into whatever it is that you do at Metis?
Thank you, Victor. For hosting me and for the quick intro. Just to give another kind of like quick intro about myself. Like I'm Jose. I'm the head of marketing at Metis, and I actually come from a financial background. I come kind of like from finance and economics. I used to work in the investment wing of one of Latin America's largest like banking conglomerates, and eventually I started growing into not liking that much the traditional system. And I was trying to implement a lot of ideas that could benefit it, and either they wouldn't be implemented because they wouldn't be aligned with the traditional hierarchy or system that they would have at the moment, or they would just fall into the hierarchy and they would be stolen by someone else, someone in a higher position. So I was growing to dislike this system quite a little bit. And I also started looking into crypto because I'm from Panama originally, and Panama has a lot of issues in terms of corruption, in terms of like using the state funds for things that they shouldn't use them. So I was just thinking, what is a way of fighting this? And I ran into blockchain, into Bitcoin, and not necessarily implementing Bitcoin for like state funds and all, like let's just utilize Bitcoin or whatnot, but the essence or the idea of blockchain and having a transparent system that would allow all of these funds to be trackable, like traceable, and also to be either even like managed or restricted by smart contracts to some extent. So we wouldn't see this level of corruption or sent or funds being sent to places that they shouldn't be sent and stuff. So I think there could be a lot of potential in improving like even the place where I grew up in. And that excited me quite a bit. I started going into like down the rabbit hole and finding out about Bitcoin, Ethereum, layer twos, other layer ones, whatnot. By those times, it was mostly like layer ones, Ethereum mostly, and
Yeah.
not even layer ones like Ethereum. And I started writing a little bit about these, joined or got together with some colleagues. We put together a large community across Latin America, and we were educating people from Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica, like you name it. Like there was people from pretty much like all around Latin America, and we grew it up to 5,000 people, I think, and it was pretty large, and it was pretty educational as well, non-profit whatsoever. And but that gave me a lot of the skills that I needed not only for crypto per
Hmm.
se, but also kind of like for the community building and the several skills that are needed for crypto. And while I was writing a lot of this content, started writing about Metis, I got to know the Metis community. One thing led to another, and the rest is history. And the marketing side is just because of like previous entrepreneurships. Like whenever you have any type of project that you're launching yourself, you have to learn how to do everything:
You
marketing,
are the marketing.
BD, positioning, like even a little bit of legal. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm very grateful for the path, for the journey, and for everything that took place to get me where I am right now.
Yeah, it's great when you have all of these life experiences and skills, and at some point you arrive at a point in life in which you can blend everything together and provide so much value. And I think that on the media side, this is quite your case. It's pretty, you know, everybody can see that, and I'm super excited to get to work with you and to see the day to day with the marketing team and efforts, me from the DevRel sides. So it has also been like a learning experience for me as well. And now I was kind of wondering, since this is a dev podcast initially, like I know that you have been learning a little bit about Solidity in the past, and I was wondering what were like the main resources that help you to kind of wrap your mind about this topic in general.
So the reason why I started looking into Solidity was because this friend of mine that was working at Cifrin, like Cifrin, the auditing firm in like for Web3. Well, like they
Yeah.
also have this educational platform called Cifrin Updraft, in which,
Mm.
and by the way, it's free, so anyone can use it. And it teaches you from the very basics of blockchain to some of the most or the more advanced topics in regards to Solidity, in regards to even kind of like basics of like auditing code and everything. They have a pretty strong program, which again, it's free. So I was very surprised and intrigued whenever I heard about this. I made like I asked some questions, and I mean, it was almost like too good to be true, but it is what it is, and it's out there, it's usable, and it's kind of like something that anyone can just go and get. And it facilitates a lot the learning curve. If I'm being fully honest, I haven't been like deep into rabbit hole yet. I'm like it's pretty busy right now, so I'm doing what I can, but I find it fascinating, and I'm still kind of like starting that learning curve thanks to Cifrin Updraft.
Yeah, for sure. Like they provide probably, if not the number one, for sure that among the top three resources that are for free uh, when it comes to blockchain and Solidity. And to be honest, like the quality is just amazing. Like I also got the feeling that you mentioned before. Like at first I thought there must be a catch here. Maybe when I arrive to the end, I will have to pay a huge fee or something, but nothing. Like that is really amazing. Like I don't think you find this kind of value. Like this is a 5 to 6 figure salary that you can get with these skills for free in just a couple of months. You just have to put in the work. I always try to tweet about it because I think it's just an amazing opportunity there. And speaking about opportunities, I think that you can share some sort of alpha to the developer audience that we have, because okay, you might be new to Solidity, but you are quite experienced on DeFi. And let's be honest, when it comes to blockchain development, after deploying like your first very simple tabs in which you are going to be using maybe some boilerplates or some, template contracts and whatnot, very simple stuff, then the rest is mostly DeFi, right? The interesting things that you can do so far are mostly on the DeFi side. So how would you say like a regular Web3 developer can leverage DeFi skills or DeFi knowledge?
The question is, how can they leverage it, or where can they kind of like? Could you repeat the question,
We can
please?
we can go about like the two sides actually, because I think that one is okay, how do you leverage that knowledge? But first of all, you have to acquire that knowledge. So let's take a step back, and the question then would be, where can a Web3 developer learn about DeFi in a deep way? And then how can they leverage that to, get more job opportunities and things like that?
So I would say if you are a Web3 developer, you already like the most difficult part is already done, which is the like acquiring those development like developer skills or those programming skills. The DeFi part, there's tons of resources, just like we're discussing for Cipher and Updraft. Like there's tons of resources out there that can guide you through your whole like DeFi journey. All of I mean, yes, I do come from my financial and economic background, but all of the knowledge that I acquired in terms of like DeFi or how to implement any of the traditional concepts into the space, and how to like DeFi sustainability, like DeFi opportunities, all of these things you not only get uh, to there's resources that will allow you to find these opportunities, to understand these opportunities, and to know how to implement this knowledge in the space. And I would say, again, a lot of free resources that anyone can utilize. And also a lot of, even in X, in Twitter, like you can find a lot of very smart people. Like, yes, you got to filter through 99% BS, but putting that aside, there's some very, very, very high quality content and people that have some blogs or Substacks or different things outside of Twitter per se, and that can help you learn quite a bit. So that's the part on how to acquire this DeFi knowledge. Oh, and by the way, docs. Going through all of these DeFi protocols docs is of utmost importance. Like that was the first thing that I would do, like whenever I joined crypto. Like I would go through all of these white papers and docs because I was just like, okay, like I know that this is already like at least whenever I got in, I was like, this looks pretty sketchy, but I want to take part in
Mhm.
it, you know? So how do
Yeah.
I make sure that I don't get robbed? And it was just like, okay, maybe if they're honest in their white papers and in the docs, then I might have a chance. And so that's what I would do. I would just go and read all the docs, white paper, and I would end up understanding the protocol to an extent to which many people wouldn't, you know? So just by going through the docs of any type of like DeFi protocol, you're gonna find out quite a bit and you're gonna learn a lot as well, especially if you're new in the DeFi space. And in terms of how to implement or how to leverage this knowledge, I would say get or surround yourself with builders. Surround yourself with builders in the ecosystem and also try to figure out what's missing in these ecosystems. And you can either contribute to an up and coming ecosystem, bringing in kind of like an essential piece that wasn't there already, or you can enhance any of the already existing features, products, or narratives that are there already. And I think by surrounding yourself with builders and also with some of the connoisseurs from the different like ecosystems, you can actually get a really good idea of what's missing, what can be a good opportunity, what gaps you can fill, and how to really leverage these opportunities for your own benefit as well. Not only for the best, for the benefit of the ecosystem and the kind of like the broader good, but for you as well. Because of course, like we
Exactly.
do have desires, wants, we do like we all want to make money, right? So developers like finding opportunities to fulfill or to cover needs, they tend to be very profitable in doing so. So by finding or by surrounding yourself with developers and with knowledgeable people in the different ecosystems, you can really get a good idea of what's missing or what gaps you can be able to fill and make it a win-win situation.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think what you mentioned about reading the docs is something that most people for sure don't do, but there is so much alpha and good information there, even if you're not like DeFi savage or developer savage or whatever. Like, there are certain pieces of information there that sometimes you won't see even on the main Twitter accounts or for many of these creators that are active there on X. I'm sorry, I said Twitter again. But yeah, moving forward. Okay, now
And
we
Victor, one quick point before going to the next question. I wanted to like bring in a last kind of like final detail for
sure.
the previous question. Just also reach out to the chain, like reach out to the actual people that work in the chain. For example, Metis, like if you want to build something Metis, you can reach out to Victor or me on Twitter, like any day at any time. And we're both chronically online. Like maybe, not maybe, like we are online more than we should, you know? So you can definitely reach us in Twitter, in Telegram, anywhere. And if you are trying to get a good idea of what's missing or what gaps could be filled in an ecosystem, I mean, it's definitely a good route to just go straight to us and create that conversational or that communication channel. So yeah, I
You
just
know,
wanted to make sure to emphasize that.
yeah, no, that's a great point. Like we are all day online, uh, and you can ask to us directly. We are very open, and I don't think this is something that happens outside of Web3 and crypto, in which you can, talk to the core team members and just get alpha or valuable information from them. Yeah, that's not a usual stuff, but you can do it on Web3 and crypto, and you should definitely go for it. So it's a great point. So now the next question is related choosing your chain, and specifically, of course, choosing Metis, right? Because okay, we have all of the resources to learn how to become a good developer and how to learn DeFi for free. That has been already stated. But now, why would anyone choose to build on Metis?
There's many reasons actually. That's a good question. The number one, I'm not gonna name them kind of like in order of importance. I'm just gonna kind of like number a few of them. And number one, I would say it's an up and coming layer two. Whenever you look at Metis and you look at some of its competitors, Metis still has kind of like a lot of very, very, very strong fundamentals, but it's yet quite behind in terms of market capitalization, in terms of like broader adoption overall. So just by looking into Metis, by looking at its fundamentals and looking at some of the narratives that are being like developed and kind of like being born in Metis, you can definitely see that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and it's probably an ecosystem that is going to start catching up pretty soon. So that would be number one, in my opinion, kind of like that up and coming uh, tag for Metis. Besides that, the Metis ETF. So we have these 4.6 million Metis, like ecosystem development fund, for 2024 only for 2024, and only for ecosystem grants. We have committed 250,000 Metis tokens. So at current value, that's a little bit over 10 a little bit over 10 or $12 million, I think, at current values. Maybe
Mhm.
15. I think it's 15. Like the market has been moving a lot recently, and
Yeah.
the fund is kind of like labeled in Metis. But yeah, the thing is, there's quite a lot of funds to incentivize to incentivize growth with the Metis ecosystem in 2024. Not only to incentivize growth for already existing dApps, but also for new dApps that might be interested in coming to Metis and in trying out the Metis ecosystem. So I would definitely say that's quite a big incentive for any dApp that is looking for a new home. Like you can find a home that will treat you pretty well in Metis. Another and interesting reason would be the LST and LRT narratives that are coming up in Metis, liquid staking tokens and liquid restaking tokens. So Metis just became, like not long ago, the first Ethereum layer 2 to decentralize its sequencer. So it's the first layer 2 to actually share a portion of its sequencer revenue or transaction revenue with users and with overall like network participants. So these also open the door for Metis staking or Metis LSTs, that users
Mhm.
are going to be able to stake Metis and get liquid tokens that they're going to be able to use in different ecosystem apps. So this opens the door for new and deeper use cases, not only for Metis as a token, but for other like ecosystem protocols and tokens to some extent. And we are also seeing the liquid restaking narrative with Eigenlayer, Renzo, and some other big protocols that are coming to Metis. So we're gonna have like quite a party in the ecosystem. I think we have we have a lot of big initiatives on queue, like lined up to just launch, and we're very excited about them. We think 2024 is going to be a huge year for us. So, I mean, it would also be a huge year for any builder that is deploying on Metis. And the last one, I think, would be it also would stem from that Metis staking, but would be the proper incentive alignment among all network participants, network operators, builders, and even end users. Whenever we think about builders, like sometimes builders are like, okay, like maybe we have some funds parked here, or maybe we're not doing that much with the treasury or etc. All of these funds could be earning yield on Metis. They could be earning yield thanks to these staking mechanisms. They could also build or integrate any type of like staking as a service products, so that users can actually like deposit their like Metis through them, and they can actually tap directly into that sequencer. There can be many different initiatives that could be implemented, and I mean this is just kind of like on the dApp side, like treasury growth. They can also like put and stake any funds that they have just parked there. They can also come or develop deeper like new products thanks to these staking mechanisms. And on the network, kind of like a network operator or node operator side, of course, they're going to be earning like quite a bit. And on this part, like we're going to be incentivizing them, and there's going to be a 20% mining rewards rate. And for the end user, which tends to not see any type of like big incentives besides DeFi, they're gonna be able to just hold a token and get rewarded for it, which is stake
Exactly.
Metis, right? So this is the
Exactly.
like anytime or every time that we have seen massive influxes of people or users into Web3, it has been derived from incentives. DeFi summer, play to earn, NFT craze, even this like walk to earn thing that we saw, like it was all because of incentives. Sustainable or not sustainable, it was because of incentives. And now we have the incentives and we think we're doing it in a sustainable fashion, you know? So I'm very excited not only for 2024, but for everything that is coming to Metis.
Yeah, exactly. Because these incentives is not just like a one-time thing. I want to be super clear with the audience here. Like these are, a new game that we are proposing here at Metis, and I'm obviously super excited about it. Everybody's excited about it because it's truly unique. And actually, I think that you kind of mentioned this already, but I wanted to pick up your brain to talk a little bit more about like the decentralization of the sequencer and what does that really brings to people and how can maybe developers leverage that, right? Because let's face it, with the sequencer introduced a new way to align our incentives, and that brings new opportunities as well.
So in terms of the decentralization of the sequencer, I think it would go back or it would take us back to what we were just saying. Proper incentive alignment. The
Mhm.
decentralization of the sequencer not only going to make the network more secure or more stable. I mean, if you're going to deploy a dApp or you have a business that you're going to move it on chain, you want it to be stable. You want it to not kind of like go offline any X amount of time. And I mean, this is not something that we have seen a lot in layer twos, like the network going offline, but we have seen it. We have seen the network congested. We have seen the network sometimes like just being off. And this is something that we can't really uh, allow if we really want to onboard these massive amounts of businesses, institutions, and also just to maintain kind of like the legitimacy of Web3 businesses. So Metis is like this is one of the things that is going to be solved, like the network liveness through the sequencer upgrade. So like for developers, this is definitely a plus. The censorship resistance factor, I mean, it's not something that most developers might really care about, but it's definitely a big factor in terms of network security. And I would say that the part that they would care the most is that uh, incentive alignment part or revenue sharing part because of the new revenue streams that they can get for their dApps, the treasury, the potential treasury growth, the potential new products that they can launch and they can just get creative with in the Metis DeFi. So I think it comes mostly on the sequencer mining part.
Mm,
And I think
okay.
we're gonna see a lot of DeFi narratives in Metis um, oscillating around this narrative per se.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it also, one could even imagine that new things on DeFi could arise on Metis because essentially we have a playground to experiment, and we have very creative people. We are creating all of these incentives, so it's going to get really fun, I would say, to come out to Metis and experience DeFi from a user perspective and from also a developer and a builder's perspective as well. So actually going forward, my last question for you here would be related to the future and what are you looking for into the future for Metis? Like, what else do you think should be implemented in our network? So maybe some of our developers that are watching this can, take advantage of this information and this knowledge that you have from within the ecosystem.
Well, there's a lot of gaps that can be filled right now. For example, we don't have a strong NFT ecosystem. I think that by bringing the right NFT infrastructure first, we could see a lot of NFT collections flourishing on Metis, but we currently don't have the NFT infra in terms of like marketplaces, in terms of like NFT lending platforms, NFT fractionalization. Maybe some people say that fractionalization killed NFTs, but whatever. Like, I mean, it's infrastructure. So yeah, I mean, we NFT infra is definitely something that the Metis ecosystem is needing right now. Gaming in general, we have a pretty big gaming protocol coming to Metis, which is DeFi Kingdoms, and we're very excited for it. But we still kind of like we want more. I mean, we want games in Metis. We want Metis to also be a fun chain, not only a chain that has a lot of like DeFi opportunities and monetization opportunities, but also a fun one that users can go and interact in, not because they are making money of it, but because it's fun, because they want to. Just like they go into their computer and they play games because it's fun, you know. So
Yeah.
that's something that we're definitely looking for. And I mean, one of the reasons why we're looking for it is because the more games are usually transaction generating machines. So the more transactions take place in the network, the more revenue goes to the sequencer. The more revenue goes to the sequencer, that means the more revenue goes to Metis, to node operators, to stakers, to all of Metis stakers in general. It's not only the foundation now. So
Mhm.
that means higher returns or higher benefits for stakers, end users, dApps, network operators, and Metis. The more revenue goes to Metis, the more money can go and can be placed back into the Metis ETF and restart this cycle of fueling gaming ecosystems, driving a lot of transactions, driving a lot of revenue, like really benefiting users, applications, and benefiting Metis itself, and keep fueling or keep feeding this treasury or this Metis ecosystem development fund that will keep feeding this cycle in return. So that's something that we're very, very, very excited about. I would also like to see some type of, it might sound funny, but like, have you seen Polymarket? Polymarket is this application in which you can like bet stuff. Like there has been
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of bets, like oh, like what are the odds of Biden like being reelected for president? And there's kind of like a bunch of odds. Like there's people voting no, yes. There's a liquidity pool. There were some others like I mean, this took it a little bit too far. But you remember the submarine that imploded like down the ocean? Like whenever they
Oh
were looking for it, there were some bets like are they gonna find it or not?
yeah.
And they were just like
Yeah.
no, yes, liquidity pool. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, some of these things are definitely things that put the community together, create kind of like a fun environment for people to interact with the chain. We are already taking strong steps in terms of bringing usable and strategic DeFi infrastructure and DeFi dApps, but we want more than that. We want NFTs, we want gaming, we want things that go out of the ordinary to some extent, and things that also bring that fun nature or that yeah, just that fun to Metis. That's what I have kind of like top of my mind. But I would say if you have any idea that is kind of like beyond it or outside of the ordinary, like bring it. Let's discuss it. Because
Ah,
at the end of the day, like these ideas, like these new ideas are usually the ones that move markets, you know? And we are more than happy to get behind any of these ideas and support in any possible way. If there's kind of like a strong, actionable business plan, and if there's kind of like a strategic angle of how to make this succeed. So yeah, I mean, I would say build whatever, bring it. That like especially DeFi, NFTs, gaming are some sectors that we're really looking for. If you are building any type of like liquid staking or liquid or like restaking tokens, like any type of infrastructure, bring it as well. It's a very, very, very good moment for it. And yeah, I would say that that's where I would guide most of our audience or most of our developers to.
of our developers. Yeah, no, like that's pretty similar to the view that I have, and in fact, some of the things that I will be proposing for an upcoming bounty that we will have with Chainlink. It's going to be super exciting. We want to
Okay.
bring more fun, more culture, more activity in our network that is not only motivated by making financial gains, which is fine. Like we have tons of DeFi, you can do tons of things in our chain for that. But we also want to bring a little bit more of on-chain culture. Uh, what I,
Yeah.
this is the way I call it. So thank you so much, Jose, for joining today to this new episode of the Web3 Devs Podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope that we can repeat sometime in the future and to catch up on what has been like the latest development on Metis, because like you mentioned before, there are tons of things that are coming up in the next few months. Anything else that you would like to add to our audience, like as final words or something?
I would just encourage everyone to stay tuned in terms of Metis. We have tons of upcoming developments that are going to be taking place, not only in terms of the network itself, but upcoming deployments, very exciting ones, gaming, DeFi, everything. So keep an eye out for sure and get ready for what's coming. That'll be it.
Awesome. All right, guys, you listen to this. Get ready for what's coming. Thank you so much, Jose. And I got you on the chats. Bye bye.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, or if you learned something new, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us more than you can imagine. See you on the next episode.